Our speakers today, starting us off, is Kyle Mutch, an agronomist with Knutzen Crop Consulting. So Kyle, take it away.
Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Kyle Mutch. Like Lynn said, I have been working for Knutzen Crop Consulting for about 9 years. We're based out of Appleton, Wisconsin. Yes, as this picture shows right here, we do get to have some fun on some four-wheelers. I am an associate at Knutzen Crop Consulting, and this year we'll be buying into the company. I will be owning the company 100% by 2022, so less than a year now. Right now, full-time is just my boss and I. His wife does the billing and secretary work. We usually hire between 1 and 2 summer interns. They are usually high school age or college age kids. Part of my growing up, I went to Fox Valley Lutheran High School in Appleton, Wisconsin. From there, I went to University of Wisconsin River Falls in River Falls, Wisconsin. I graduated from River Falls in the spring of 2012. I got a Bachelor of Science degree in Crops and Soils Science with a crops emphasis. The reason I went to River Falls was because I was interested in agriculture after being a summer intern for Paul. When I was going to be a sophomore in high school, I started working as an intern, working only 2 days a week to see if I liked this job or not. The following 5 summers, I worked for Knutzen Crop Consulting full-time, 5 days a week, from when school got let out until the end of August. I took 1 summer off working from Paul and worked at Precision Ag, which is a part of Countryside Cooperative in Ellsworth, Wisconsin. There I was a custom applicator, spraying fields, and also a crop scout. After graduation, Paul offered me a full-time job, which I accepted. As you can tell, I am now a CCA, which is a certified crop advisor, which allows me to sign off my own nutrient management plans. So what does a crop consultant like me do? Wintertime, I attend educational events. There's actually an educational event going on right now this whole week. That helps me get credits to keep my CCA. I meet with my clients in the wintertime. We discuss what crop is going into each field. Corn, alfalfa, soybeans, wheat, oats, barley, and sorghum are the different crops we normally deal with. We discuss what variety of each crop is going to go into the field. We find out where manure went and what types of tillage got done in the fall. We do work with cash grain guys and dairy farmers. We use this information to write a nutrient management plan. This tells what each client is farming, how much manure and commercial fertilizer went on each field, what type of tillage is done for each field. We look at the soil loss to make sure that we are still keeping it below the T, so that's our tolerable soil loss, so we can keep the field productive. We put in what type of crop is going to be grown. The plans are handed into the county, and some plans are handed into the DNR also. We work with farms that are 50 cows up to 2,500 cows, and 100 acres of land up to 5,000 acres of land. And we also in the wintertime figure out what kind of chemicals we are going to spray in the upcoming year. In the springtime, next slide please, we start soil sampling. So as this picture shows, we have an ATV that has an iPad on it with GPS location, the one arrow showing the iPad. The GPS is actually located below the iPad. We have a bucket for collecting the soil, and the last arrow, bottom arrow, showing a soil probe. We take 1 sample per 5 acres every 4 years. Each sample is made up of 8 to 10 soil probes or soil cores. Each location is marked for soil testing again in 4 years. Next slide, please. Some clients do variable rate fertilizer. That is, we go out there and we spread some parts of the field, and other parts of the field we don't get anything. We VRT right now lime, potash, and phosphorus. In order to do VRT though, we instead of doing a 5-acre grid, we go down to 2.5-acre grid. This will help build up the areas of the field that are low in the nutrients so the crop can grow at the maximum for the highest yield. So what this picture is showing is we are doing some variable rate potash on some soybeans. The white areas are receiving no nutrients at all, no potash. The green areas are receiving 100 pounds of potash. The little yellow areas are pretty much transition areas. They're getting 150, and then the red areas are lower testing potassium areas in the field, and they are getting 200 pounds, which the circles are showing. So in the spring, or we start the weekly route going on each farm once a week on the same day of the week. Next slide, please. In the early spring, we also look at alfalfa and winter wheat to see if there's anything winter killed. If there is winter kill in the field, then we decide if we want to keep the field. If it's not too bad, if it's really bad, we end up going back and meeting with the client and redoing the whole plan we did in the wintertime, which is a lot of fun. So what this picture is showing is I dug up some alfalfa ruts and you break them apart. And as long as the center is still white, that means that the plant is healthy and growing. Once they get brown or dark colored, that means the alfalfa plant is probably going to grow a little bit and then die, and there won't be any yield off that field. So then we end up putting usually that field to corn. In the late spring / summer, we help clients with planter depth set up for correct planting depth. We take stand counts of crops to make sure that we have the proper amount of plants per acre. We line up fields to be sprayed. We sweep alfalfa after each cutting to look for insects such as potato leafhoppers and pea aphids. Next slide, please. We look at soybeans for soybean aphids. Threshold is 250 aphids per plant. What this picture is showing is the underside of a soybean leaf. That's where you have those little tiny soybean aphids that are there. There's roughly 6 or 7 of them there. When you start counting up to 250, it becomes really fun. We monitor crops for disease and insects. If diseases are favorable, then we may decide to spray a fungicide. We take pre-sidedress nitrate samples for corn at knee high to see how much nitrogen is in the soil, and we adjust our second application of nitrogen based off of those tests, so we can keep the corn crop growing and get the highest yield as possible. Next slide, please. When corn is tasseling, we take tissue tests. So we go out throughout the whole field and we take random plants right below the corn cob, and we rip that leaf off. We gather 25 to 30 leaves, so it's 25 to 30 plants. We get them analyzed, and it gives us nutrients as to what the plant is lacking or not lacking. We use this information to better spread nutrients the following year, since it's too late to do anything to correct anything that year. What this picture is showing is a cornfield, or actually a soybean field. Yes, soybeans actually need nitrogen. They make their own nitrogen though, which is nice. The soybean is low in potassium, or is responsive in potassium. So that means if we threw out a little bit more potassium, it would actually help out. It needs more sulfur, which is yes. Like I said, with these things, it's really nice having these kind of reports, because then you can show the farmer that, hey, we probably should have spread more fertilizer and spent that extra $10 to probably get a couple more bushel gain off of that. In the fall, we soil sample, just like we do in the springtime. We sample anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 samples a year between the spring and fall. So we do stay pretty busy. In the fall, we start taking corn and we cut it off about 10 inches off the ground, and we put it through our chipper. We check the corn moistures. Most farms chop corn at 65% moisture so that it's at the proper nutrient value, so that we can get the most milk per ton. We also, next slide please, we also check the grain moisture of corn and soybeans as to when to combine. We'll take cobs like which picture is showing, and we'll count the number of kernels around, the number of kernels long, and take the population and show what's going on to see a yield projection for how much yield potential we have. We advise clients as to where to put manure in the fall, make some preliminary budgets for clients who are cropping for the next year. High school classes to take, computer classes, so you know how to work with Snap Plus and soil sampling programs to make BRT. Chemistry, you need to know how different nutrients act in the soil. Biology, know how the plants grow and what causes diseases in plants. Math, geometry, algebra are very important. We work with those every day doing math. English classes, we do write some papers, and with our nutrient management plans, you want to make sure you have proper grammar in the nutrient management plan. Communication classes, you need to be able to communicate to co-ops, clients, salespeople, DNR, county staff, as extension agents or NRCS people. What I encourage you to do is try and get an internship into a job that interests you, so you can see if you want to make your career fair based off of that internship. When I was in college, I took advantage of being in Crops and Soils Club. We went to different states once every fall and spring to see the different farming practices around. Opened my eyes up to see the different farming practices outside of Wisconsin, which was really great to see. Skills we are looking for in an intern: willingness to learn, able to show up Monday through Friday and work whatever hours we need them to. Sometimes we work 60 hours in a week in those 5 days, and we work through whatever the weather throws at us, whether it's hot or cold. If it's raining, we'll work a little bit, but if there's lightning, we stay in the truck. Being able to communicate every once in a while to a client when you get to the farm before I do, ask questions when not sure about something, and being able to be confident in the work so you can report back to my boss or I. And that is what I do.
Awesome. So, so already as a high school student, you started interning during the summer. So how did you even decide, hey, I'm going to go talk to this guy who does crop consulting and see what this is all about?
My mom actually is friends with Paul's wife, so that's how I got involved with it. And I've worked on a lot of dairy farms in my years in high school, so I enjoyed ag to begin with, and just brought me into trying it out and see if I liked this or not.
Awesome. Allison, do we have any questions?
There is one question, and I'm not certain the full context, but the question states, is that the same with other plants? And it was around when you were talking about alfalfa.
I'm wondering.
The root part. Is that the same with, when the picture of the alfalfa and the roots? So do you do that with other plants?
We go around to all alfalfa fields and check out the roots, see if the field's going to grow or not. We don't do that with corn or soybeans because they are planted only one time a year, so it's going to grow unless you get a frost. Then you will have kill some soybeans. But yeah, we just do that in alfalfa fields.
Great.
And my question was, and I did get the opportunity to spend a day with Kyle walking the fields. It was really fun. When you are looking for like those soybean aphids and you have so many per plant before you have to start spraying, you showed just the back of one leaf. How do you determine how many aphids are on that whole plant, for example?
We go to 10 different areas in the field, and we do a thing called speed counting. So you kind of count up to like 25, and you get a visual as to what 25 little pea aphids look like. And then you take the rest of the plant, you look at it, and you make it so that when you get up to 250 average per plant, that's when you decide you gotta start to spray and make it economical to help the farmer out by not having that insect do damage on that soybean plant.
Got it. And yeah, great recommendations for classes to take and skills that you need. So very, very complete information about your area. So thanks a lot, Kyle.